So this is me trying another idea in Lovable. I want to try it. It's Lovable 2, and I'm starting to get a handle on cursor and rules and things, and I want to come back to Lovable and get what it usually outputs for a nice UI. Doesn't go well, but I'm not going to give up. So watch the video if you want, obviously, and you'll learn some tricks and things. It'll be nice to see someone else get stuck at this. It's not always working like we see in other videos. But I'm not giving up. I just didn't want to keep going with this. I want to try to rethink how I'm going to approach this particular workflow so that I can be a part of it and maybe get it unstuck. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure. All right, enjoy. All right, this is going to be another build with me kind of series. It's going to take more than one, and I want to try Lovable. I'm figuring out how to steer it a little bit better, so we'll cover some of that. And then by the time we're done, we're going to have something that really can do a lot. So in this one, we're going to have a sign-up form for groups to do pickleball events. So it's going to have a paid system for groups. It's going to really rest heavily on Supabase and N8N. N8N will drive a lot of the automation in the background, like notifying people, waitlist logic, and whatnot. And you'll see a list of things here, but you're also going to see some of the things I think I can do to help go from dev to production, including migrations of Supabase, but also just drive Lovable a little bit more forward in a little bit more consistent way. It's great, does great visuals. Sometimes I think it can be hard to deploy. Not impossible, just hard. So I'm going to try and help it there and help myself, again, stay out of the way. So we're going to build a system where people can sign up for events, pickleball events. I'm not going to make this generic. It just gets too hard. And then they have a process here of wait list and is it active, is it canceled, notifying people, text messages and whatnot. Lots of logic, because eventually later on we'll start pulling in information from because there's 10 pickleball apps, so I'm going to solve it by making another one. And it will suck in data from those other apps, I hope, if I do this right. But that's down the road. I really want to talk about building a Lovable again because I just want to see how it goes. They have part 2, and I just want to see how that works. Now, I took this particular prompt here and I turned it into a business prompt. So I just basically go to ChatGPT and say, take this whatever and turn it into a business prompt like that, okay? And there's nothing special here. It's honestly just ChatGPT saying, hey, I'm going to help explain this a bit better to the AI. And it just goes down the list. Now there's another prompt I'm going to put here is like, how do I like to build? Now if you want access to these prompts, I'm going to put them on my forum. It's not Discord, it's a discourse, so we can continue to chat there without it just going away in the mystery of time and whatever with Discord, sorry. So Discourse is a nice forum tool. I'll put a link below. It's actually been around a while, just poorly named. So we're going to put this prompt in here as well, but we're going to also put this prompt somewhere else. And that's where it will begin to make more sense, because there's a few settings in Lovable I want to set, but I can't, I realize, do it till I run a prompt. So let's just run this and see what happens. It's running. Maybe it's waiting for me. No, it says it's working, but just want to notice the security check is cool because it's going to surface to me things I'm missing in Supabase. So that's really nice. Chat mode would be great too because I can work through some ideas with it in project collaboration because there's me and others here doing this. And just remember this one. This is where we keep iterating. People were complaining that Supabase was left wide open or whatever, and this is going to help us to just not do that. All right. If you go to training.daily.ai studio, you'll have a link here to become a member to the forum. I'm there to answer your questions. I will be posting regularly things, tips, and tricks, and workflows that work for me for N8N and other stuff. So there'll be real good material there, but I'm there to answer your questions from all of my experience. So feel free to sign up. It's like $5 a month. I'm just trying to build a community there. Let's see how far we've gone. Not too far. I'll just fast forward through a lot of this in the future. Now, we haven't set this yet. I'm going to connect it to GitHub. And the first thing I'm going to do is connect it to GitHub. So let me just, I don't want to do the org level. Actually, I will. I think I have an org level GitHub. Why is it called that? I have so many different names of past business ideas. Okay. So this will be the first step in connecting to GitHub. The next step I want to do will be how we create a development branch. And that development branch will be what we see and deploy here for testing. And then we'll create a production flow so Supabase and everything goes to production. And that's the tricky part with Lovable. And I was hoping with part 2 they took the next step. But they just didn't, and that's fine. This stuff's hard to iterate. It just takes a moment. Hello. Let me reload. We'll just assume because it's running in the background, it won't let me do that. With Supabase, we'll connect it to a project here. We will say here that when we go to production, maybe we'll have our own self-hosted Supabase. We'll cover that after. I don't really need $10 a month, but I think I've used all my free ones. This stuff adds up, so I will slowly move this off or have to stop. This is ridiculous, but it's whatever. Supabase is amazing. I use it a lot locally, and I think that might be the problem with Lovable, is that it won't connect to my self-hosted Supabase. That's a bummer. I've been doing a lot with local development. I'm not getting the same flow yet that I want. It's still a lot of work for my part and a lot of comical moments of really bad UI. Not horrible, just moments of I just want the UI to be better. I'll find a better balance before long. It's tricky. Maybe one idea will take off eventually. I'll come back to that because it doesn't always show up right away. Yeah, it's not showing up right away. It's okay though. So at this point, the knowledge is where I wanted to also show. So we got 3 areas I want to show, but some of them aren't working right now. But let's go back to the knowledge one. And I think they use this to help drive some of the front end specific coding styles. Yeah. So I'm going to add all that stuff we did before right here. Even though it might be in the prompt or chat history, I'm going to add it here. And we'll go do that. Okay. Supabase might reload. Let's see what happens here. Perfect. And then GitHub. Let's see if that woke up yet. Perfect. Great. So it's just because it was working so hard in the background. Now, I want to not work on the main branch. I want to do the dev branch, which you can call it whatever you want. But this will be the branch that is dev. And this is what we're going to use and deploy. And this is what that database will be, which I should have called dev. I'll call the prod one prod. Okay, and then domains, we will connect it to a domain. So I'll probably buy a domain and go through that whole flow, especially once we go to prod. But it's actually good for dev too. All right, as normal, it does an awesome job of cranking out something, which is just so hard to beat, but not impossible. But anyways, so your app is now connected to Supabase. Build unsuccessful. Let's just fix that for a moment. And then we'll start the process. We'll let me sign up and all that. And I should have probably made notes on that. It may have done that in the prompt. We have the new edit mode. It's not new, but it seems, actually it is new because we couldn't edit. We could look before, but we can now edit. I thought we could edit before, but maybe we couldn't. So that's another reason I want to try again, because I can come here and hopefully fix some code and stuff when I need to. All right, let's see now. If I'm going to go to chat mode. And, oops, let's leave that on. That's interesting. That's good. It sure took a while. Now I'm going to go back into my ChatGPT and just start. I made a project. It's just me asking you some questions as we go. All right. Blah, 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 blah. This is great. Okay, cool. And this is what someone said, or a video I watched where they're just like, yeah, it will let you chat through some things. All right, let's see something here. So I gave it a little bit more of a prompt to just say, I want this kind of free trial level, and that helps with testing. But so far, Pickleball Central, I'm sure that's not available. Jeez. Someday this is going to be so good that it will be all the branding and everything well done, because it will research all of that. And I'm calling it a group because I think in the business plan I called it a group. Yeah, I did. The business strategy, anything can build one nowadays with ChatGPT. Just give it a sense of what you want and have it, and just tell it, hey, build me a prompt for this system. There's no big science to it. It's knowing what you want and putting it into the words this system needs to just understand you. All right, so we're just going to click implement the plan and go. The reviewing all the migrations or schema is tricky. I think the only thing I ever worry about, and I think my prompt helped there, is that I want to make sure it uses auth users, because I don't want it to build a user table. But my original how prompt was all about using Supabase for auth and not trying to make my own things. So it seems like it's doing a really good job here. Such a win for them to choose Supabase. It was just brilliant. All right, day 2, not because of this, but because I had to do some other stuff. But listen, we've gotten this far with one prompt, and that's really good. I don't think I had much else to do here for changes. But then I went to try it, and that was okay. So basically at this point, I usually click out of here with this button, and that took me to here. And I can test it in here better because sometimes that other screen reloads. And now what I did was I did a sign up, but I messed up my Supabase, so I forgot to do this. So inside of Supabase, I should have gone into authentication, I think it is, and emails, and let's see, policies, sign up. Here it is. Email, and then I should have said don't confirm, and I should have done that. So I'm going to do another sign up, and we'll just see how that goes. So I'm going to do a sign up, and I'll say not in, offered. Let's see, so what do I do? The daily. Okay, so then what I'll do here when I'm testing a lot of things, I'll do a +001. And for whatever reason, that's legit and that still works. So now I'm going to register as a group manager, which is interesting that they did this. This is great. So now I would typically have a spreadsheet to go through all of the possible testing. Then what I'll do is I'll just track how that progress goes. What is the item I'm testing? How did it go? So let's try that one. So I did it and not much happened. It might have still sent me an email. I'm just going to try and sign in to see what happens, which won't be good. It would be like, I'll put that down as a note. Okay, let's do that. Let's just add a note. So we'll just keep going down this list until eventually it passes everything. So the next thing is I have a group. I want to make a group. So let's do that. Do I already have a group? Okay. All right. Downtown Dinks. That's a good one. That is a good one. I would love to see the data schema there for that. Okay. So is this data even real? Let's go look for a moment. So we're going to go into the table. We're going to say, oh, it did a lot of schema stuff. So this is cool. And then groups, not real data though. That's a bummer. And it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So what we're going to do is keep walking you through it. I'm going to create a group, but I don't think it didn't even work. And that's fine. Listen, I'd rather have it take one step and get it right than take 10 and get some of them wrong. So this is great. We'll fix the sign up process after, because I think if I was registered and I got a warrant confirmation email, I would have clicked it and been in. So we'll make a nice message to show that, all right? So let's come back to that one, but let's say this, okay. Now, I'm not here inside of the app. If I reload this, it's not like I'm logged in. If I sign in here, it's a different session, I guess. I don't really know enough about that, right? So then if we say plus, and then I'll have one that's like my email plus test user. It just goes down the list of how you can QA this. So now when I go to groups and I create a group, okay, this is good. So I'm very picky here and I don't want modals. I don't want things that I just can't manage or they get too complex for a modal and then I have to change it. So right away, my goal is to have it. And I wrote it in those how I build notes that I want it to be groups create, or I usually plural. And so that page is where I create a group. And then I want it to be groups UUID to see that group and all the related data to that group. And that kind of state management in the URL makes things more linkable, shareable, and helps the UI and everything, I think, to just come together better for back-end state management. That's just how I like to do it. And I don't want to complicate things, but I do feel like every time Lovable has built things, it's leaned too heavily on modals and things that then lose effectiveness once the particular thing you're editing or adding gets more complex than just title and description. Okay, we got an error, so let's see. Might just be a TypeScript thing. I'm going to have it fix it, but then I'm going to ask it, we'll see if it does it by default. Is it going to save it into the database? Let's see. This is where I get torn between Lovable and Cursor, is we get going really quick with Lovable, but then the details can sometimes take a while. And then you get Cursor, where I very rarely would get such a nice looking page out of the gate, no matter what I do, for me. So I still get torn between the two. Of course, you can use both together, so maybe that is the ideal for now. It said it did something. Try to always keep this open as well, because you might get an error message and not see it. As soon as this is done and we can add a group, I'm going to deploy. And what that means is we're going to have a dev area for testing and to continue that process, and then a production area to continue that process. I'm going to try that pattern instead of waiting till it's ready or done. So let's see what it did. Of course, it wants to refactor. It is the most disciplined developer I've ever met. But when I click the button, nothing happens. So I'm going to close this for a moment, and I don't think it's the problem. I don't totally understand how it manages this part. So let's just see what happens. And then we're going to close that. Browse groups, close that again. Create a group. Okay, so maybe it was a weird state thing over there. I'll stay in here, but it does sometimes reload. But let's just stay in here. Okay, so do I own any of these groups? View details. Join. Okay, that's cool. We'll see if that works, but we're not going to jump ahead. So we're going to create our group. We'll call this test 001. I'm not sure if I care about this because a group can be in multiple places. So, okay, group manager. Okay, so it doesn't think I'm a group manager. These things are okay. I'm not worried about this. I was just curious if I could change my management status. Okay, let's try it again. I'm going to create a group. And one moment. Wow. Jeez. Hold on a moment. I'm going to go click that link. Okay. So let's do that. So when I'm not a group manager, but I should have been. So maybe that's where it messed up. And it calls me a regular user. And let's put down, yeah, that would be join a group. Someone can register. Someone can sign up for an event. Someone can sign up for an event. Someone can join a group. So that would happen here. And then what I'll sometimes do is I'll do this. Who, and then we'll say daily. Someone can add a group. Can add a group. And then we'll make this person number 2. Not that's great, I could do. Okay, then someone can register for free and then sign up. Okay. If we can get to there, we're doing really well. A lot of waiting. All right, let's see what happened. Boop-a-doo. Okay, yeah, this is great. Oh, until it didn't work. And that's okay. So we have a row level security policy, and you don't want to ignore these and you don't want to turn it off. I didn't mean to reload. I should have clicked this button here. I reloaded the page by accident. So groups, create group, upgrade, boom. Let's see. I see the issue. Yes, apply those changes. Man, it's hard to wait for this stuff. Back, and I've started another project, so this gets bad waiting. Okay, I did the migrations, so we're hoping it's going to work. We'll click on groups, create group, and upgrade, and it still didn't work. Yeah, this is where the magic ends. I see people vibe coding all over the place, and then I wonder, where did the magic go here? I just don't know. If I go into the database and I see what's it trying to do, it's trying to save the user roles, and it has a security policy of that. Users can view, but there's no security policy for editing or adding or changing. So I want to make a security policy where they can change. Now, create a policy, update, and they might actually have one here. And update. Let's see if I can go get it to do this. User roles, permission, authenticated. And then I don't want email though. I want just, that's what I want right there, but I want it to be update based on ID. And then we'll put that in there like that. So now if we do this, it should work, I think. So let's go to groups, create group. Still not there. Oh, we got some good messages here. Let's see. I would assume they're seeing this as well. So let's give it to it. Again, in cursor, I probably could go fix this, but you saw my attempt there. All right, this is my last try. I just don't want to sit here going in circles with Lovable. So it said that. Let's give it a go. Now, are they using MCPs for that? They're probably just reading the database with some code, which is fine. So let's see what happens. Let's see if this fixes it. This is such basic stuff, honestly. And this is why if I did this in Cursor with some of these rules I have, it would have been done, but it wouldn't look this good. So it's this funny balance right now. I'm going to pause. All right, this is my last time. So it says it fixed it. I'm going to go to groups and we'll clear out all this and we're going to create a group and I'm going to become a member. That was good. That was something. I don't know what all the jumping around was. Oops, that doesn't matter. Infinite recursion. Yeah, I'll give it that, but I'm done. I'm going to come back in a bit. I must have just bad vibes. All right, I'm going to wrap this video as a fail, but I want to come back to it because I really like what it started to do, but I have to work through a lot with Lovable. I'm still stuck. It's now created a recursion. It keeps saying it fixes it. I don't know. Maybe I'll pull it down and run it locally and fix it. That's the thing. I would like not to have to, but I like what it's doing, so maybe I do that, push it back up and get back into Lovable. Maybe I'll try that. That will be the next video.